yourbrand.ca, your community with Sheikha Rebecca.
And welcome to the YouTube channel, Brandon Sanderson, who is a tech and development coach. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thank you for coming on. So I've been watching Facebook and you have been posting a lot of great advice. So you're I shouldn't say a bit of an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur. And can you tell me what inspired you to become an entrepreneur instead of working at a traditional job?
Yeah, so a lot of what really led me down the path of entrepreneurship was family and time, and really impact. So I could only give so much impact when I was working at the organization. There's a limit, and you're limited on your time. You're there for 8 hours. You can't really choose when you're there. They make the time for you. So I like the work-life harmony. My parents are older. They had us later in life, so having that time flexibility when you have aging parents, I'm finding is a true blessing. So yeah, I like it for the flexibility and the impact I can make.
So what was the defining moment you said, I want to build my own business?
The defining moment came really last year. It took me a while to be okay with coming to terms with my own business. My dad had a business when we were growing up, and it was a mechanic, like he was a mechanic, but he didn't move with the times, and he ended up the business ended up failing. He ended up going back to regular work. And that left a rough taste in my mouth of doing entrepreneurship. It was really I didn't think I could do it. I thought it was too hard. And then as I was going through leadership more and more with Best Buy and growing up with the company, I realized that's all we were doing was changing. And as long as you can change with the times, then you really have that kind of opportunity to do what you want. As long as you're changing, you're checking your metrics, you're working with what people want. And I think that was the big thing when I first started coaching and I was figuring out my niche I was struggling with. And then once I kind of blended into where the tech coaching happened with other coaches, I'm like, I actually like this. It was the job that was making me not so much like the background and the tech background. So I ended up doing it once I got let go in September and going all in. And I kind of just, once I lost the job, I just knew I was going all in. I didn't think of getting another job. It was like, I need to now just take this next 18 months I have and really work on investing in myself and getting this growing.
So what has been your biggest challenge since starting this?
Yeah, so biggest challenge is probably time and figuring out how to manage all the time. Obviously, I'm doing pet sitting on top of coaching, and I have clients that I see in person. So my biggest thing has been calendar integration, calendar syncing, make sure everything, as soon as something's happening, I put it on the calendar, because overbooking is very easy when you're doing this. Also overextending yourself. So making sure you have everything written down on the calendar so that you just know, okay, can I handle this? Can I not? And really getting okay with your boundaries. You need to sometimes say no to things. You need to know when you're at capacity. And that isn't always easy when you're in a people role that you want to support people.
So most entrepreneurs, they focus on one thing, but you've kind of built your business on coaching, technology support, and pet sitting. That looks like fun. So how did all that evolve? Like all those three together?
So I had a few clients in person from when I was working that were friends of friends, family friends, things like that. So I've kept those on, and I've obviously just expanded that since I lost my job. So I've left that open to new clients. What I pretty much wouldn't take on much more when I was working. It was getting to be too much. It was getting too busy. Now I've opened that back up. I'll take any client for in-person tech. And then I was just let go, and I knew I was getting severance, but I was thinking ahead of when EI started, and I knew EI was only going to be 55% of what I was making. And 55% was pretty much what I was putting in my account for bills. So I'm like, okay, this is fine. And these are the house bills. I can't do much about them. They're pretty fixed. I have some money for my roommate's rent, which will help pay my spending expenses, but how am I going to pay for the rest of my spending expenses? And credit card minimum payments, things like that. So I ended up finding Rover. I seen Uber. I did drive Uber for a bit. It was kind of okay. It was nice to get out of the house because I have a roommate. It was nice to have that separation because I was used to going out of the house all the time to work. And then I went in from that to looking through more options because I didn't really love the idea of driving all the time. And I found Rover, and I'm like, okay, I like pets. I had watched Pets for friends in Kitchener, so they had a dog, Samuel. It was a big white fluffy pup, and I would stay there and travel into Best Buy in Cambridge when I was working there because it was so close. I could save on the commute, and I was watching the dog. I helped them when they were on vacation, so I'm like, I did really well with that. Why not do it as a side gig? So I started doing that. Was already building the coaching business, but was doing it just for interim because I wasn't going to pay myself, or I'm still not paying myself through the coaching business. And yeah, it's taken off. I have 9 repeat clients. I have 60% response rate, and I have 22 5-star reviews. So it's been a really good side hustle at the point now where when the move and everything happens, even if I didn't have to pay myself from the business, I could sustain with our new cost of living.
Right.
So yeah, it's really nice.
So you've been in customer service quite a bit. I think I mentioned a couple times. I think you served me a few times.
Yeah.
So how do you find that the same customer service skills apply for all 3 of your jobs?
So it's all client-based. It's all making sure the client's happy. I think doing it for yourself is way more important for the customer service side of things. You don't have the brand name recognition when you're doing it for yourself. So if you don't really land that first time customer experience, you're not going to get that repeat client back. Okay. So I think my biggest advice is really landing that first time customer impression in the meet and greet, landing that impression for the first time you do the sit. When I'm seeing a client and doing a connection call, making sure I'm on top, have my warm welcome, have my script ready. I'm ready to kind of dive into what kind of area we're working at. And then for tech services, usually it's more in client home. So you're needing to respect their space and then really answering any questions they have. And the customer service side, I think for the Rover and technical support side is very similar. You're very much wanting to keep your client happy. In the coaching side, you really want to make sure you're supporting your client. So it's more supporting that client with what they need, and that's how you're serving them than so much the customer service aspect. Or if they're not feeling supported, they're not going to want to keep you on as a coach. A lot of leadership development ends up becoming personal development. It's a lot of personal development. It's a lot of development in yourself. So it all lands back to that personal development of you. It's getting that self-awareness to get things kind of moving forward.
So you've got 3 different areas. How do you balance all of that?
So I have everything synced to a calendar. So I have 2 calendars, and I have Rover has a subscription calendar that I have synced with my personal calendar, and then anything that's put on the Rover calendar, I just block off the times I'm traveling. So I do have to manually block off drive time to and from, and I actually give myself a 3-hour window when I'm settling in at a house sit. So I block off 3 hours of my day to kind of set in. So as soon as I do anything like that and I have that booked, nobody can book a call. So if there is a call booked, I usually will do it. Usually I try to make it a conference call or a meeting that I can kind of listen to and co-collaborate. So I can do it on my phone. But I really try to plan them so I have a window where I can just get in, get settled, and go from there. That keeps Rover in coaching. And then most of my tech clients call or email me to set that up. So then I just book with wherever I have time. And that's kind of how I manage it. But it's all about calendar scheduling and using a to-do list to keep yourself accountable.
What do you find more beneficial, like a digital one or a book?
So I bought a digital smart calendar, and I'm actually going to leave it with the sale of my house because I just mounted it to the cupboards. Okay. But I also am realizing I never used it. I didn't really use it much. I would hear the ding of it go off and then realize there was something on my calendar. It would help me know that I had something I needed to do, but there wasn't really much more use. I do well with the calendar on my computer and on my phone and on my iPad, and then a to-do list, like a project. I have a project manager software, ClickUp, that we use. I can do in progress. I can assign things to my business partner when it's financials and stuff we have to keep track of. And then my sister does most of my content, and I can assign stuff to her as well, so she makes sure content's out. So it helps keep us all in the loop, as well as then keep me on task too. If we're talking on the phone or something and they need something from me, I can just have them put it in there and assign it to me, and I know I need to get it done. So that's how I'm really managing it, is by having the 3 of them to support, but also having the systems in place for the support to work.
So organization.
Yeah.
That's the
It's
key
all
word.
organization. Yeah.
So if you're not organized, you better learn to be organized. Is that
Yeah.
it?
Or get an assistant or somebody that can organize for you, or AI is good at doing stuff like that too. If you say, I need help organizing this, it can usually give you a plan. So you can utilize that as well. I've utilized that a lot when I can't afford like assistants, and like I
Right.
only have my sister working so much for me. So because I can only afford to pay her so much. And that's the nice thing about the cheap AI subscriptions is I can utilize a lot of that to not have to hire for the expense, what's kind of nice. So
And can you use that for a business expense, like the AI assistance?
you can business expense it, yeah.
That's good to know.
It's a tax write-off.
Because I was debating that myself for certain things. I thought, is it worth it? But if you can, for
Depending on what you have your business categorized as for your service, product and services, you can.
Okay.
So because of coaching and we do a lot of scripting with content, it's in there.
Right. It's good to know.
Yeah.
So have any of your different businesses unexpectedly helped each other to grow?
So yeah, Rover has helped my tech business grow a little bit. I've gotten some tech clients from my pet clients.
Okay.
But I've also gotten pet clients from my tech clients that I've had in town. So
Whatever works.
it has blended that way. Not so much with the coaching side, besides like stuff I'll get. I have had like interactions with other coaches because we're working like peer to peer,
Mhm.
and I've gotten some clients that way. But as for the businesses really blending, there's been crossover with the Rover and tech and Rover, because pet sitting, I can help their pets for service, but then also help them with their tech. So it's kind of like personal, but also like their pet help too. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of people doing what you're doing, and some people are afraid to kind of take that plunge. But if somebody in Brant County, they wanted to start a small business tomorrow, what's the first step you would recommend?
I think the first step is getting self-aware with yourself and knowing that when you start a business, every flaw or every mental health challenge or anything you have is going to come out. So I look at this as, if I would have tried to do this before I had my ADHD diagnosis, I think I would have massively failed. And the reason why I say that is just because I had so many like hidden saboteurs and traumas inside of me that like that all comes out in running the business. And you even see it now with certain things I'll notice and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to work on that because it's like coming out in the business. So kind of getting self-aware with who you are, because it's going to show all your demons when you go into this
Right.
role, just because you don't have a protector of a company behind you. It is all you. And just making sure, kind of getting self-aware with yourself is if entrepreneurship is something you can do. It's not for everyone. I am trying in the tech space, and I really want to eventually land where I can have other coaches come and like match coaches via niches that don't want to start a business.
Right.
Because ultimately everyone doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. But if you do, I think definitely doing some of that inner work on yourself first, getting self-aware, and just knowing where you're at mentally before you go into it, because it's going to bring out any of those hidden kind of things that you have.
That is a very good point, because I would have never thought of that. Right? If you can't handle a certain situation, you just mentioned you don't have somebody else to fall back on, and this is your business, and this is your reputation that it comes on.
It was a big learning curve when I first started because I didn't have that. I did have a friend support system. It was nice, but not having all that support behind me. It was definitely something I had to really like learn quickly, because I was messaging my business partner about everything and I'm like, I can't, like, this isn't sustainable. So you really do learn quickly about how to get over your fears, or also just build confidence in areas. Another big thing I like to tell anyone, if you're going into your own business, you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. There's a lot of uncomfortable situations you're going to get yourself into.
That's another good one too.
Yeah.
And we don't think about these things.
No.
So it's a big learning curve for you, isn't
and
it?
And it was months in before I heard some of these things. Like being comfortable with being uncomfortable was something I learned from a manager at Best Buy, and then it kind of lost over the time, and it's came back so much in my life. And I'm like, that is so true. Until you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, you're not growing, you're not moving forward.
That's a lesson for me too.
Yeah.
Thank you. So what is one mistake that you made that's become a valuable lesson?
Investing too much early on.
Oh,
I invested in a lot of software early on, thinking that things were going to boom really quickly. And when I brought my business partner in, I was spending about $700 a month on software. And we weren't even making $700 a month. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I thought we needed this." So we started figuring out what could do what. And really, we kind of tore everything down and canceled all of them and then started rebuilding up what we needed. So really just know that you don't need that big of an investment if you're doing an online business to start out. Your capital cost can be very low. You just have to make sure you're utilizing free trials and not paying for more than you need. Because I think I didn't utilize free trials enough, so then I just paid for things to be like, well, I'll pay for them and then I'll try them, and it just became this cycle. So don't invest too early is definitely my biggest mistake. But now coming out of it, it's paying off now because I've learned what we're using, but it was definitely a mistake in the beginning and cost us extra money.
so you don't need like top notch of everything then.
Yeah, and like you don't need to just get your heart set on the first program that you see.
Okay.
You can like shop them around, look for different options. Like when I started the podcast, the Clarity, Confidence, and Growth podcast, I had committed to Buzzsprout, which was hosting software that cost me, what I'm realizing, probably more than I had to, because I probably could have got away with a free program. And then as for like the editing software, I paid for high-end editing software when I probably could have got away with iMovie with how good my editing skills are and stuff like that. So it was just extra money spent. There was money spent on dashboard, like database softwares when we first started. Then I found out, yes, because I'm good with tech, they were great, but my team who doesn't know much about tech, they couldn't get on board with it. So it's just really trial and error before you get into any type of situation of spending too much money or upping your monthly costs, because you really don't need to. You can start with just a Zoom profile, a landing page, and like a way to book with you, and then figure even out the payment after, because you can do PayPal, you can do things like that.
Right.
It doesn't have to be structured. My first client paid me on PayPal for the first 3 months until I got everything organized in our payment system and incorporated in January. So,
if people really want the service, so they'll pay for it however, right?
Yeah, and they're gonna figure it out. Yep.
Exactly. So how important is networking in a community like Brant County?
So I think networking is really needed here. I think there's a lack of networking a lot of the times for entrepreneurs. Like I found your group, and I'm going to go to the networking event next month. But some of them can also be very distasteful depending on what you kind of get into and depending on what kind of crowd gets there. So I think having the right mindset of entrepreneurial individuals at a networking event that you can learn and grow from is really important. And I think in a small community like this, it's nice because you can share things that worked with others and it is received, because we're in such a small community still. It's not like Toronto where you can run 6 different ways and all of those are successful because you have enough people.
Right, yeah.
You really need to take the wins from others and kind of work together peer to peer to grow.
Absolutely. So what keeps you motivated on difficult days?
So I read this book called Split Second, Stop Stalling, Start Doing from a coach named Adam back in May. And the biggest thing from him was to take the small wins, even from the 20% days.
Okay.
And I've really started taking that information. So if there's a day where I'm not feeling 100% into it, I will maybe only do 20 or 30% of work, but I'll think of like the win I got done because I did that 20 or 30% of work. And then motivation, like before even getting to work, I think is just the motivation of keeping clients happy, and that this work is something I enjoy and I have flexibility in it and the time I wanted. And the more I keep showing up and motivate, even on the slow days, it comes around and I end up getting another booking or something comes up. Or if I have a day where I'm stressed because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to make to be able to pay myself this week, and I'm going to maybe have to wait. And then something comes up and I'm able to make it, or I know the money's coming 2 days later and I have it. So it's been, as much as I thought it was going to be scary, it wasn't as scary, and it isn't as hard to motivate myself as I thought. Now, don't get me wrong, when I first started, it was hard because I was like, oh, I don't have this retail 9-to-5 job anymore. I can sleep in, like maybe I can like use my mornings and have slow mornings. And I did kind of get a little unmotivated there for a bit, but then I bounced back. And I think some of that too, I know I like to say too, you need to give yourself grace, because those times are just as important as the other times. I worked for 12 and a half years for a company. I did that time. I got up every day, I did the work. So yeah, I did take a little bit of a break and transition and did take some time to transition over, but I got there, and now the motivation of helping clients and just getting out there to see more leads every day is keeping me going. And like situations like this, like we met through you reaching out, and now we've been able to network, and it's an in-person engagement. So, it's by getting up and motivating every day, I get to say yes and do these things as well.
Absolutely. So if anybody's watching this right now and they are afraid to take that leap, what would you say to encourage them?
I think I'd say, you don't have to quit your job to do it. You don't have to quit your job or make any drastic life decisions. If you want to take a leap in starting a business or doing something, just do it. See how it's going to work out. Do it on your spare time. When I first started this, I was still working full time, and I would literally just take some of my evenings and weekends to build up the coaching business. I would already take my evenings and weekends and do tech side jobs anyways. So I just started doing my evenings and weekends on building up the coaching business. And then when I did get let go, I did go full throttle into it. But when I was still working, if I didn't like doing it part-time, I could have backed out and still had that full-time job to go off of. So you can take the leap even if you don't want to jump in full-time. Just take the leap. Take the leap while you're working. Put in some part-time work, see if you like it. You can back out at that point then.
That's excellent advice. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
this was great.
I appreciate it, because I'm learning. I've had quite a few guests on now, but every single guest I'm learning something from. So I'm learning myself.
Launching the podcast, I think I've learned more than anything. Like listening to podcasts, I think I learned so much, and then doing it and being the host, you learn so much listening back, and you listen to them to edit them, so you just learn pieces in there too. It's great.
And one key thing I think you said too was mindset.
Yeah, your mindset's so important.
The mindset is so important with all this, but it's great. You gave me some great tips as well to move on. So again, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.